Use a gasless MIG welder. A gasless MIG, metal inert gas, welder is an alternative to the standard welder. This gasless welder is more efficient to use and more affordable. It might take a while before you get used to welding with a gasless welder, but with a little bit of practice, you will be able to do clean welding jobs. You can purchase a gasless MIG welder from your local hardware store. Here are more tips that you can use when working with a gasless MIG welder. Read manufacturer's manual. The first thing that you have to do is read the manufacturer's manual for the gasless MIG welder. This will help you familiarize yourself with the parts of the tool and how to use it properly. Another important thing that you have to do is read the safety precautions before you start handling the equipment to avoid any accidents from happening while you are working. Prepare the gasless MIG welder. The gasless MIG welder feeds a wire through a component and produces heat at the same time so that you can weld. You have to make sure that the spool of wire inside the gas welder is spun just right, or else you might have problems with welding. It should not be spun too tight or too loose. Clamp to the item. The next step is to clamp the gasless MIG welder to the item that you are going to weld. Loosen the clamp, place it on the item and then tighten the clamp. Test to see if the clamp is well in place. Practice welding. If this is the first time that you are using a gasless MIG welder, it is best to practice on scrap metal first before you start welding the items that you want to attach together. Choose the right voltage on the equipment. Wear protective gear before you start. Use protective welding mask and work gloves for your protection. Using the gasless MIG welder. To start, push the trigger carefully. The wire will feed on the tool when you do this. You will notice that as the wire gets close to the item that you want to weld, there will be a light emitted. This is the electricity that allows you to weld the items together. Observe as the metal melts. When you are happy with the melted metal produced, remove your finger from the trigger and move the welder away. Inspect your work. After your first trial, inspect your work to see if you have welded the parts together well. The metal beads that were produced from the welder should be smooth. With a bit of practice, you will get better in using a gasless MIG welder. These are the steps that you can follow in using a gasless MIG welder. If you are having problems with the melted wire coming out of the welder, you can adjust the voltage settings of the welder to see what works best. Experiment first on a piece of scrap metal so that you can get the hang of using it the proper way.